that did feel very important to me right from the beginning. I wanted it to be his story, not mine. And I realised that there were a lot of people, interesting people who knew him and who had communicated with him. And as I acquired more and more material, letters, records relating to that, it was very important to me to use that. And I felt strongly actually that I wanted to keep myself out of it completely. And there was one version of the story which ended when I was born. But actually Sarah wanted me to include some more. And I had written a lot more, but I'd edited it out, but it came back in again. And I felt slightly uncomfortable about that, but I'd slowly got used to it. And I realise now that it tells the story in a fuller way, to include myself. But I was reluctant to do that. It's a very good question, because it does, it's true. I think it's the distillation, which was a hugely important process in my writing this book, because I spent 10 years researching it, and that resulted in a massive amount of material. And initially, I'd only wanted to find out about my father. I hadn't really intended to publish it or write it as poetry at all. But as time went on, I got more and more obsessed with the subject, but also I became interested in writing for its own sake. And then I became interested in distilling it, because I realised the amount of material I got was too massive. Nobody was going to be interested in that amount of material. So I was advised by a very interesting and eminent poet to distill it more down into poetry. There was some poetry in it, but she said that there should be more, that I should recast more of it as poetry. And that became a project which took a few more years of distilling the material back down into its essence, which meant learning how to write poetry, really. And I enjoyed that process as much as any of the others. Well, most of the letters are genuine. A few of them have been fabricated from fragments, but some of them are entirely genuine, and they were a starting point for research, which took me into a lot of other places. But yeah, I did find these old letters absolutely beautiful and fascinating. So I wanted to use them and for them to become part of the book, which has a sort of quite a strong visual quality anyway. And so the layout of the letter I found interesting. You get the date and the address and the handwriting, and all that did become important. And of course it does mean you're dealing directly with people's feelings at that time. So yeah, it was a mixture of using real ones and creating others which had the same feeling to them. Yes, I do. It did have a huge therapeutic value for me, the writing of this book, but it was when I decided that I wanted to craft it into something that resembled an art form rather than just therapeutic research for my own benefit. That was an important process, and that took over so that I got through the therapeutic side of it, and I became totally focused on how to present it, on writing, and on poetry, how to structure it, and it went through, I suppose, 1,000 permutations before it ended up in the very distilled version that it is now. Absolutely. I honestly believe that everybody is interesting. And I mean, Jim had an unfortunate and sad life. I think he's lucky now because he's had me to sort of recreate it for him forever, and I'm very pleased about that for his sake. And I do think that any of us could do that about anybody that we know if we choose to, or if we feel the need to do that. And I am starting to run workshops for people who've got interesting archival material, letters or photographs that fascinate them, and think, well, maybe what can I do with this? And it's a great thing to do. I loved it.